Hey everyone, welcome to the Founders Foyer with me, Aishwarya. This foyer is full of conversations, the space where creators, founders, and builders can look for all the foundational concepts to grow their ideas into products. As a part of this project, I have a section called the Foyer Feature, and it completely focuses on particular project and the founders behind. We'll be discussing all about the journey, the way they came up with those ideas, and the patterns that they follow to get their growth on, and all of those things. So in today's feature, I have two very special people with me from my favorite platform. Let's welcome Sonia and Blake from Kernal, the community platform to connect founders, investors, and startup ideas. They have about 15K members and so many more startup ideas discussed every day, and so much amazing work in helping creators and founders like us find success with their journeys. Hey Sonia, hi Blake.
Hi,
Hi,
thanks for having us.
Aishwarya. Thanks
Yep,
for having us and thanks for the awesome intro.
yeah, totally fun having you both here with me today, and can't wait to get started with our chat.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm,
perfect.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, very excited.
Awesome. Let's begin with the story behind Kernel Community. I remember reading about Kernel on this platform called Indie Hackers way back during the pandemic. And I was just like, oh, what's this platform? And it talks about ideas. So let me just get going. So, how did this initial idea about Kernel start?
Ooh, that's a great question. To clarify, my name is Sonia and I'm on the community and partnerships team along with Blake at Kernel. And I joined about 6 months ago. And what really, you know, how Kernel started is as a napkin idea. The co-founders were having chats around ideas and how a lot of people maybe have ideas stored in a notebook or just within themselves, and there's a lot of great platforms and communities to really help you grow and scale an idea, but there wasn't really a lot of platforms out there that really help at the very early stage of getting an idea off the ground, whether it is to get a signal around if you should move forward with the idea, or even just to get feedback to see if other people are curious about an idea similar to yours. So that's kind of really the genesis. Is it started off as an idea around, hey, one of the co-founders, Paul, came to the other co-founder with a number of ideas and said, here's some ideas that I'm thinking about working on. And then from there, they thought, if you have all these ideas written down and stored, there must be other people that are in a similar scenario where they have all
Mm.
these ideas and they have maybe someone that they can go talk to and get input on and feedback on. Why don't we build a community where we bring together founders, builders, ideators, investors, and see from that very early phase of getting an idea off your chest or off that notebook or, however you store those ideas. And we've kind of taken it from there. And you've been a huge part of the community from the beginning. And so you've probably seen how we've evolved the platform. And a lot of it is based on learnings and feedback from the community and iterations based on just how we're seeing the platform working for our community members. But yeah, I hope that was a good kind of introduction into how we got started and why, I'm excited about Kernel and why I joined about 6 months ago.
Absolutely. I think what really excites me to know about this is it all starts with an idea. And like you said, all of us have ideas every day hidden in our notebooks, on our mobile apps, and then we just keep talking about it with our friends, our immediate circle. But somewhere to make us take that first step forward, I think we need that push. And like I always keep saying, Kernel is like the accountability partner that you can have. More like, hey, let me just go post this idea over there and like try to see what other builders are doing. So it's kind of amazing to know how it started with an actual problem, which is founders themselves realizing they need a platform to share ideas. So that's something new to me. And yeah, good to know that. Thanks for sharing something.
Of course, of course. Yeah, no, I to go back to what you're saying is that yes, it's awesome to have an idea. And, sometimes it is just that first step of talking about that idea, sharing that idea. And, with Kernel, our, philosophy and what we're really hoping to achieve is people that are are curious and excited to build in public. So we get it. There's lots of ideas out there that are people are building them quietly, and there's many reasons for that. We're really looking at this as being a way to, leverage the community and work with the community, get that support early on, and a place again to get those ideas, off your chest, and hopefully through the features and the platform, you get an early signal through the community if there's anyone interested in investing or building it with you, or do you have any interest from early potential customers? Are they willing to pay for it? So a lot of these we found to be really great early signals to help a founder kind of move in the next direction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that really makes sense. And there are so many more points that I want to touch on what you were just discussing. So let's probably jump into the very next question that I have, which is, since we're talking about ideas and people generally know about social platforms like Twitter or LinkedIn, and even platforms or communities like Product Hunt, where people often keep tabs on these places to know about what others are building. With Kernal, I think the journey is not about, hey, this is a launch and this is what I've built, but even before that, just taking a step back, it starts with that initial idea. So what is the typical path that you want the creators or the people on the community to take, and where do you want them to focus?
Yeah, that's a great question. And that's, something we focus on every day is, how do we get our community to act on, act the way that we think is best. And so we think it's really important for them to go ahead and voice their idea out into the community, onto the network. So it's kind of funny. Everyone's really hesitant. They've been told that they need to keep their $1 million idea secret and to themselves, but we really want them to share it with the community. And that way that, it draws in other members for collaboration. They could get started early, get their ideas out there, kind of get feedback as soon as possible. But as you mentioned, there's so many platforms out there that really facilitates new products and being able to grow your current product. So Kernal really focuses on that, genesis of an idea. So we want people to start at the very, earliest stage possible, get that idea out there, start talking to other people that, could help them progress that idea. And that really it's all really focused around this new movement, the build in public movement. We've seen it kind of grow with social media and on Twitter. And we just think that's so important to kind of follow. So, the idea step that we want users to take is to, start from square one, post that idea that they have, start talking and start collaborating with other builders, potential users, investors, and then kind of, from there, be able to lay out their goals, the steps that they want to take. And then when they act on those steps, we want to see some progress updates. So we want the users to kind of update the community to say, hey, we've made it this far. We might be stuck here. We might need some help from the rest of the community. Can you guys help us out? We've never been here before. So it's just so hard to go from 0 to 1. So we really want to make that as easy as possible. And we think that it is easiest when you use the network around you and the community that we have on Kernal. So that's how we feel.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I agree with everything that you said with respect to having that network to support you, because often when we have ideas, I think we first find it out with ourselves. We're like, hey, is it like good enough to be posted? Is it something that people would mock me for? Or is it something that somebody's already built and then, it looks like I'm just doing a repeated thing? So I guess there are these questions that run on our minds, and then this is somewhere like the community that helps you take the first step, thinking that, okay, this is the idea. Let me just go post about it. Let me just go plan it as I start. So I think somewhere I like get your points towards that first starting point that all of us need to have as creators, which we often can miss in hindsight and just get lost in the sea of ideas that we have. So it's good to know that Kernal is helping folks. It's helped me take the first step. So I'm glad that for folks who are listening, it would also help them take the first step towards getting their ideas out and sort of get them the clarity to think more on that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And to add to that, I would say that, we love being able to not only have like the goals and the progress updates and the support requests, but also just having a way to really help frame an idea. So we've, through the process of sharing an idea, you see like a templated, a template to really give you that framework and help you set up how you would talk about your idea, really using that idea page as a way to potentially use that information for a pre-seed investor deck, for example. So it's really helping, not only helping, you have to take that first step of posting your idea, but we're, working really hard in the back end to ensure that how we have the way that the idea is positioned or framed or talk about is in a way that's really helping get eyeballs on your idea as well, whether it's from, an investor or a potential builder. And I found just even walking through the process myself, with, I didn't think about that step, or I didn't, consider that. And, having those preloaded goals in there, I found, that's really neat. I think that step should be taken first before this step. So I think that's what I've really enjoyed about like the evolution and seeing kind of the new features that we've built out is how we really kind of help frame how to pitch your idea and how to share your idea as well.
Yeah. No, that's very important, because it sort of gives you that support to know, okay, this is how I get my ideas out. And I feel like it removes the friction, I guess, because often when you start and then you're like, okay, I don't know whether this is the right template, or I don't know whether this is the format in which people often read what I have to post. So I think, this reminds me of the template that you mentioned. And also another thing that I get reminded about Kernal is I really like the interface where people go and upvote the idea, right? It's not just like a simple like button, but like you can get very specific with respect to would you help build this idea with the person who's posted about it, or would you actually invest in the idea, or would you like try and use this if this person is going to sell this idea? So I think that's also another thing that I found for creative like us in terms of getting that initial validation that, okay, hey, there's this gang that would really support my idea, this person who would like to invest in me. So I think that's another valuable thing that I feel that creators can get in their early journey.
Awesome. Great. I'm glad that you find value in that, because that's something that I think also is a great signal for founders to get that instant sort of feedback from the community to say, hey, I posted my idea, and yes, you can go upvote it to, be really supportive. But then again, you get this next step of, hey, like, would you invest in this idea? Would you pay to use this? Would you be a customer? Would you? So it's really helping the founder get early, like you said, signal around some of those key points to help them, again, move to the next step.
Yeah, absolutely. So, now that we're talking about projects, ideas, and community, I would like to touch upon each of these. And so, which is why I would love to ask you both. You saw initial users trying to use the platform, and more than the platform itself, it's about sharing their ideas, sharing what they have on their minds. So what kind of takeaways did you get with getting some of these people into the platform? And did you have any observations that you particularly noted?
Yeah, definitely. So kind of like I mentioned before, the biggest hesitation that we saw with users was that, they don't want to post their idea. They're kind of scared to let it go. But then once they do, they're like, oh, wait, it's, it doesn't mean too much unless I'm actually acting on it. So, an idea is only as powerful as the execution. So once we saw users kind of get over that hump and that hesitation, then things really just, they take off. Most of the time, other members have that same idea. And so we really saw users coming together, which was really powerful. And so that's kind of, what Kernal is really built on, is that community and coming together and sharing ideas and collaborating. So I think that's kind of what we've learned most, is that, users really just want to help each other. So we have this new member directory, so you could actually kind of filter through expertise and other areas and other roles that some members have. And so this is a better way for users to connect with each other and kind of grow upon what they're trying to do. And ultimately get that idea off the ground. So yeah, it's been great to see our users really come together and that community start to build. So that's what we're looking for.
Yeah, it's interesting to know how people support each other, especially when they know that there are fellow creators out there just like them trying to take the first steps. So, do you have like any interesting story or something that you just observed on the platform with respect to people coming together to help each other? Anything that you spotted?
Yeah, it's funny. We were actually talking to Tamar yesterday on our Twitter space, and she had a couple ideas that she just threw out there that she had no plans of actually building upon. But so one of them was kind of a platform for vetted professionals, so a way to kind of build your network without having to worry about being spammed or sold to. And so it was an interesting idea, and she, like I said, she was just kind of threw it out there, had no plans to build upon it, but within the discussion, the comments, there are multiple people who kind of came out of nowhere and were totally on board with the idea. Someone actually had a domain name that they weren't using that I think it was like Better Together, or it was something that fit perfectly with the idea. So it was awesome to see them just offer up that help immediately. Just we really get rid of that friction of trying to meet new people and take the next step. And so to be able to post an idea and have that kind of help come to you is incredible.
Yeah. And it sounds exciting when you say it. Almost, I think you get to know the other person very well from the way they think. And it's as good as meeting them in person. And it's kind of fun to know that people take the first steps towards posting about their thoughts on somebody else's idea, and not just stopping there, but going that extra mile to basically help out in building.
Yeah. Very powerful.
Yeah,
it's fun to see.
I think I've also seen some really great, obviously the community is global. We're again, like about 15,000 members and spread out throughout the world. And just like seeing somebody working on an idea, for example, in the UK, and then connecting with an ambassador or somebody, whether it's through manual connection or through the platform, and then learning that they've met for coffee and they've talked about their idea further, or they've had an opportunity to share, a pitch deck with somebody that they met through Kernal and get really like helpful and great feedback. Also, getting, like you said earlier, like that early customer feedback or signal. There's been like several apps or ideas that that I've like discovered or learned about through Kernal, where I'm able to get on their beta list or learn more about their idea and see kind of how that journey takes off, which I don't think that I would have really had that opportunity to learn about that idea unless it was at a different stage. If it wasn't through Kernal, maybe I would have discovered it through some sort of startup blog, or, down the road, when they're open, or, whatever it might be. So I found that to be like really, neat as well. Obviously, we live in a world where it allows for a lot of those types of interactions to happen. But I always think it's really exciting when you see it kind of happening in that supportive, I want to see your idea get to the next level way, which is really exciting for us to see this early on.
Yeah. I love how you call it as interactions, because it's something that most of them missed during the pandemic, right? And like earlier for us to meet people, it was always let's just chat over coffee, or let's just meet each other in person. But when virtual chats took over, I guess that's why I can sort of tie Kernal's success also with the pandemic, because people were really waiting for connecting with each other, trying to get their thoughts out, and trying to just see what they can do together. So it's kind of to tie back in, it kind of makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So now that we're talking about the success part of things, also I would love to know what were the challenges. So I know the first part that Blake mentioned with respect to people being very apprehensive about sharing, but beyond that, did you try and see any challenge that was in a founder or like a builder's journey, which you used Kernal to understand better?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think one that I've really noticed is, feedback is so important, and it's really necessary to have that loop to understand what the users want and the members want. And so we have a couple of different ways of collecting feedback. And I think that the challenge that I see is what to implement and what not to implement. So, every time somebody might offer a suggestion, it would be, be awesome to help them out and give them what they want. But at the end of the day, is that really going to make the platform better for everyone? So it's really hard to kind of filter through the feedback and really understand what, what's going to help the main goal and that North Star. So I think that's a challenge I've seen is, how do we kind of add more features and more, ways to make this platform better for everyone, but at the same time, being selective in the growth pattern that we take. So I think that's one challenge I've seen.
Yeah.
And I think just to add to that, it's really continuing to focus on getting like the right people in the room to be there to support and having like a really wide range of experts and mentors and people like from all over the world that can kind of chime in and offer very global kind of perspectives on some of the ideas. So I think just continuing to really get, we're pretty lucky that we're able to continue to focus on that and get the right, types of entrepreneurs, builders, founders in the community to help really unblock. But as Blake mentioned, like even for the founders, for example, like we really want to see them share again, like their progress updates and really, put out an ask to the community. And, what we're seeing as well is that when you are in that early stage of validating or exploring, and maybe like super early on, just understanding maybe like the founder's journey a little bit better to know kind of like what sort of timeline are they working with when they are building this, like, getting a good understanding of whether this is a first-time founder or serial entrepreneur. Is this their full-time like project, or is this their side project? So really getting clear on and understanding how to build the platform and support those types of personas, like and different types of builders is, it can be challenging, but it's also really exciting because there's so many tools and things happening in the space that enable, I think, founders as well to be able to get their ideas off the ground. So for us, it's more continuing to get the right people in the room, ensuring that when a founder is seeking support or advice or introductions, like we're able to kind of, as a community, step in and help unblock them in that area that they're looking for support. So on our end, it's really continuing to grow the community in that way where we can get, the best feedback and best support for the founders that are building.
Yeah.
Sonia.
Yeah. No, I think that's also like one of the key challenges to solve for, which I do agree with Sonia that it's very interesting because everybody has different core motivations, I guess, because let's take me, for example. I kind of have like a day job, but then I also try to balance it out with side projects. But there could be like somebody out there who's like a full-time creator who really focuses on getting their project up and running on a very, very different scale and a very different thought process. So I think that's good to know that Kernal has both of these, and in fact, many such personas. Just not two of us, but there could be like many such people who have different core motivations and different ways that they want to get their project up and running. So, like you said, it sounds like a very, very challenging thing to solve for, but definitely fun, I guess, on the part for you folks on the product team to solve for it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I think I would love, again, for both of you to answer about what is the great strength that you see in today's builders, founders, and creators? Because, we've had like a very, very different time, let's say from two years ago to even 5 years ago to where we are now. There's so much happening around us. There's so many new things that we've been knowing in the recent times with respect to crypto or Web3 and a lot of these other industries getting up and running. So the times have for sure changed. So how do you see builders getting accused for this, and what should they focus and get better with?
Another good question.
I think that, like I'm always going to be in the bucket of like, there's no better time to build. And that, we're in a time now where we've seen like the rise of no code, and there's lots of tools that enable builders to get a bit of a head start, even before, they're curious about raising money or any of the other things that are part of that journey of starting a company. I think that there's the internet in general has enabled builders to be able to get things, at a very, like viable like very minimal viable like product up and running with very little required to do that. So I think that continues to grow, and you see that the rise of, no code and even, as you mentioned, the pandemic and growing communities, and seeing, cross-pollination of communities, and seeing how, indie hackers, Product Hunt, all these places are all in a way working together to help get founders get their ideas off the ground. So I think that, I've always believed that there's really no better time to build. And I think that right now we're going into a time where I do believe that, like the builders that will be heads down, focusing on their project or their idea, and really, hopefully leveraging communities that they're a part of, will be able to get to that next step. I don't know, Blake, what are your thoughts on some of that?
Yeah, it's an interesting question coming from you, Aishwarya, because I think, your experience in product and this whole no code movement is something that is incredible for founders. I mean, it's never been easier to get online, create a landing page or a website, and be able to ship your product as fast as possible. So I think that is a huge thing for first-time founders, is the ability to just utilize all the tools that are on the web or on the internet to create, the first landing page or just a simple website, and go from there. So someone with, no coding background can create a technical product. I think that is very important. But yeah, then, there's so many tools, there's so many resources, communities. I think just, utilizing all these different things is very important. You're out here interviewing founders and giving access to knowledge that, might be impossible to find elsewhere. So, hopping on YouTube and watching a quick video about something that you might not know yet, and learning some SEO or whatever it is, that there's just so many resources out there that have made it so much easier. So, just knowing how to utilize those tools and find the right communities to kind of be a part of is very important.
Yeah, no, 100% with you both on that, because especially with the no code point, the point of view uncovered, I think for me as well, knowing about no code was definitely enlightening, in the sense that earlier it was always about, we have those ideas and working on them is going to take us a lot more time. And we were always hunting for, okay, who can help me with this? And what's the best thing to do next? But with no code, I think it's really democratized the way that anybody can build. It's like, you have an idea, you just don't have to wait for anybody's permission to just start doing something about it.
Yeah.
It's definitely like, okay, I have this idea. Let me just sit over this weekend, try and see where it goes. And even if it's going to like go as a success, or it's just not going anywhere also, it's just fine, because you tinker around and you learn a thing or two when you use those tools that you just mentioned. So I think that's definitely a powerful thing, and totally with you both on that.
Yeah, you got to be scrappy and persistent. And now again, it's just like and take advantage of what is out there. There's so many great tools, and there's so many great communities, and ones that also offer like great perks if you are building, with obviously I'll talk about that with Kernal, but, with people who are building actively on the platform, they get access to perks. So they get access to perks from partners like Notion or HubSpot or Miro. So these are great tools to really help you expand on your idea or take your idea to the next level. So I think that, I'm excited for builders. I know that there's a lot of, conversations going around right now around funding, but I think that it really will also, again, it's a time that you have to put your head down, work, share your progress, check in, get support, and hopefully be able to move to the next step as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. There's more than one path now to explore, and you have all the resources, and it's just a matter of okay, what really works for me. And I think that's like a very self-reflective journey for each creator to understand what they need in terms of both time and resource, and then trying to move in that direction at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. So, another thing that I wanted to touch upon is I love this concept of ambassadors for Kernel, for a community like Kernel, because it sounds like, oh, they're there, and like, you have this powerful network that's just being built. So, for anybody out there who is trying to build a community, how do you explain to them about this concept of ambassadors, and how do you think it would help them out?
Great question. I mean, I think so with any product, whether it's a technical product or even a physical product, you start to get like early fans or people that are really excited about what you're building, that are part of the ride, a part of the journey. And I think that for us, it was really identifying some internal members and users that are building, that we saw were using the platform, how we would like for it to be used. We also thought it was a really great way to connect people and share more ideas and have a great feedback loop. So we're constantly releasing new features and having a network of engaged ambassadors that are already using your platform how you'd like to use it, and are available, not maybe all of them at the same time, but even if there's a few of them that receive an email and notice that you've launched something new, or you're looking for someone to help you test a new feature, or you're looking for feedback on something. For us, it was a group of people that we could lean on to get some of that feedback really quickly, but also really helping, with Kernel, for example, the ambassador program is really, as we grow it, it's really not just about Kernel, it's also how can Kernel support the ambassadors and the projects that they're working on, and what are some ways that we can kind of tie it all in together. And for us, it was really bringing in a group of people that we see using the platform. We see using it how we would like to use it. We see it as a great way to connect them with some of the builders that are looking for more feedback, and a great way to just continue to connect people through the community. And we've learned a lot because the platform is changing as we add new features. And, we've also learned that founders are busy. That's good that they're busy, they're building, and getting really clear on like how to set I always believe that when you want to start something, you kind of just have to start it and just know that what you envision may not be how it ends up, because now you're bringing in like 12 to 15 people. Everyone has ideas, and you want to kind of see how the energy of the group, helps to take the things to the next level. So for us, it's like, we learned as well that that founders are busy, and having this ambassador network was helpful for us to be able to get sometimes like really quick feedback for them. So I think that was like the main purpose for us, but also, looking at how can we also support any of the projects that, they're building, they're working on. Do you want to add anything to that, Blake?
You covered a lot there. That was perfect. Yeah. It's just very important to have that core group of first users that you could really rely on and trust and get genuine feedback from. But it's also important that they have those same values and goals, and so it's nice to be able to connect with them, and then they can kind of relay the word with their community as well. So it's just a good way to tie everyone together and bring out those values, and the ultimate goal of being able to create a bigger network to be able to help these founders where they need it. So the ambassadors have been great, and it's yeah, it's cool to see everyone kind of connect and, come together around Kernel.
Yeah.
And it's a great way for us to hopefully, find like-minded people, and a way for us to, as Blake mentioned, like continue to grow the network. With
Yeah. No, I think the like-mindedness is definitely there because, like Blake said, these are the first set of users, and it's kind of nice to get them out there talking about the product and also like what they get from being a part of the community, and then trying to get more folks who believe or who sort of have the same trust as these people, and together they form a very supportive network and help build on each other's opinions and ideas. So yeah, definitely sounds interesting. And I think more community folks listening to this should definitely try and get this up and running.
Exactly.
Yeah. So over to the last question that I have again for both of you is, what's the future for builders and creators that you're looking at? And what do you plan to do with the community that you're currently building with each step?
Yeah, great question. And I think that's why I like Kernel so much. I think it's very bright for builders and first-time founders, and everyone who's kind of just entrepreneurship driven. And so I think it's very exciting that we have this community that we could watch ideas grow to MVPs and then beyond. So it's been fun to see new ideas pop up on our platform. Users get to use these new features that we're building, and we could track progress updates, and we could see the goals that they're working on. And I think, the future is very bright with all the tools and the resources that are out there. So I'm excited to watch ideas grow quicker than ever. I think Millie's idea really speaks to that we saw recently take off. If you guys haven't heard of it yet, it's called The Generalist World. I definitely recommend you check it out in Kernel, but she was able to post an idea on the platform, get a lot of validation and a lot of interest, and basically create a landing page, create a community, and start matching some of her first users to new jobs and new opportunities, all within about 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. So just the ability to move so quickly is awesome. And so I think that's going to be very exciting to watch people be able to do that in the future. And I think it's only going to get quicker. So I think it looks very bright.
I think that I will echo Blake's sentiment there and say that I agree. And, what I'm really excited about is just like as we continue to evolve and grow, like just the types of ideas we're seeing, the quality of ideas we're seeing, and even just like the founders, like I'm really just excited to see how, just for an example, I saw an idea shared around building a very female focused play to earn like gaming model, like a Web3. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this is so cool. Like, I'm so happy to see people like talking and sharing these ideas and seeing how everyone's coming together to really see if this is something that could work or stick or whatnot. So yeah, like Blake said, I think from like the platform and feature perspective, I love that, we've rolled out, easier ways for people to connect through DMs, which was one of our highest voted community feature requests. So seeing that be rolled out and now giving our members, a place to connect, within Kernel is awesome. And then seeing, I love seeing people's progress updates and sharing their goals and what kind of requests that they have from the community. So just continuing to see how we can, connect people through some of those requests and updates and asks is exciting for me to see as well. So yeah, I'm pretty excited to see how some of the MVPs we've seen take off. We're building a fund. Our North Star really is, yes, getting ideas onto the platform, but really how do we now take, some of these MVPs and turn them into funded startups? So that is like the next kind of phase. And it's really exciting to see, from the early MVPs we have now, like which one of those could potentially become, a funded company, and how do we continue to do that? I'm really excited about continuing to grow that journey and support founders in that way.
Yeah, wonderful. And I'm also pretty excited to see where the community goes in the next few months and years. And it's like how the ideas that people post on the communities would grow, and also how the community itself would grow from Kernel's context. So yeah, I think pretty exciting journey, and all the best to you and the Kernel team. So yeah, thank you so much, Blake and Sonia. It's been fun chatting about all things community, creators, and I learned a lot about the platform myself today from both of you. So pretty exciting. I would love for folks who are listening to this to check out the platform, and also to not stop with the first idea, but to keep sharing what their thoughts are, and to keep building and just learning from the journey. So yeah, thank you so much, you both.
Of course. And if anyone is interested, Aishwarya, they can DM you. We're happy to, shout out your ambassador code. We're always looking for new founders or builders who are looking to take an idea off the ground pre-MVP. So feel free to, share that as well with your community. But if anyone's interested, they can always find us online as well, and send us any questions.
Sure.
Yep. Yeah, thank you so much for having us. This was fun.
Yeah, likewise.